Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast Battle Report 40k, as we know it continues with the forces of chaos against the Drukhari, using the rules that we know. So stay tuned for a fun battle report as we continue this journey into 9th edition Warhammer 40,000. Let's begin.
The Dark King.
And here we have 3 patrols worth of Drukhari. This is 1,500 points. And let's take a look at what we have. We have Skari leading his patrol with a Slith nearby. 1 unit of Cavalite Warriors with a blaster. A Venom, 2 Venoms actually. 2 Ravagers and a Void Raven bomber with missiles. That is the first patrol. I get my CP refunded thanks to Skari. And then I'm running 2 more patrols. A patrol of Cult of the Red Grief for advanced and charge, with Drazar, the Master of Blades, leading it. 5 Witches with a blast pistol and a Shardnet and Impaler. And 9 Reaver jet bikes with 3 Heat Lances and 3 Grav Talons. And to round it all off, the final patrol, Prophets of Flesh. Homunculus with an electric corrosive whip and a hex rifle, 10 Rex with an Ossifactor and a Venom Blade, and 7 Grotesques, still some of the toughest Gribblies in the galaxy. Because I'm running 3 patrols, the Drukhari gives me 4 command points. So I start with 12 CP. I'll be taking Labyrinthine Cunning on Skari, and he will be using Alliance of Agony to give him Diabolical Soothsayer. With that, we move into what Shane has brought for the Chaos Forces. And here we have Shane's Chaos Knights. Don't mind the bus. We're once again doing this in Garage Hammer 101, which is how we should all learn how to play the game. Shooting the shit in the garage. Yeah. And we've got 2 big knights, Helverin, a battalion of Red Corsairs. But let's let Shane go over it. And how does this work exactly with what we know from 9th edition?
All right, so what we know from 9th, the Knights they kind of previewed it in the Chaos Knight thing. If you take a Warlord from your Knight detachment, you get the CPs back. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. And then because the Red Corsairs, if you have 3 Chaos Space Marine squads, you get 3 CPs. And as far as we know, the battalion costs 3. So it just kind of pays for itself.
Yeah, so basically you're starting the game with 12 command points. You have a Lord Discordant. You have a Evil Tech Marine.
Yeah, Warpsmith.
Oh, okay. 3 units of Chaos Space Marines, Red Corsairs, which lets them advance and charge and all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
A Helverin.
Yeah, War with the auto cannons.
Cool. And then 1 with double battle cannon?
Yeah, double battle cannon, and then 1 with the double venture cannon.
Oh, lots and lots of shooting. Very excited about this. Are you excited to have lots of command points to use?
Yeah, it's it'll be good, and we get 1 per turn, so.
I love it. Okay, so let's dive into the mission. Okay, so here are the terrain rules. So we're playing the 4 pillars and the mission. We've decided for this game to each take all 3 of the secondaries that we know. So we're going to take Intel, Plant the Flag, and Recon in addition to the primary points, which means we have the 3 secondaries like we know that Games Workshop has revealed, as well as the primary points. And we are playing with a couple of different terrain pieces. So these pieces are going to be dense terrain, essentially, because they're going to, if you shoot through them, it's going to be hard to hit because they're, dense terrain. These are the ruins, so we are going to be using them with all the GW rules of obscuring, defensible, or scalable, whatever the heck, breachable as well, whatever that was. Essentially, they're going to be the line of sight blockers. These are not tall enough to be obscuring, so it'll be true line of sight, light cover, and probably defensible or something like that. So we'll kind of work out how that goes. Okay, let's dive into deployment. And we are here after deployment. So we decided to use the whole Age of Sigmar, you go, I go thing again. Why not? I have I have this feeling that that's the way it's going to work. So here we have, I picked the deployment zone, so I'll pick this deployment zone. And then I've put, because these are obscuring, that helps me keep my Ravagers alive, finally. So, put the Ravagers behind line of sight blocking terrain. I put a Rack unit and a Slith back here. I put Archon Skari here, Witches and a Venom, the big unit of Reaver jet bikes. Because line of sight, what they've said is if it goes from any part of the base to any part of the base, essentially. So you have to basically use base to base for line of sight a lot of the times, like for cover and stuff like that. And then we have Grotesques, Homunculus, Drazar, Plane, Venom with Cabalite Warriors. And that's it. That's it. And Shane, what did you do here?
I got some big tall walkers.
Big guys.
A little bit of midget walker. And then some mechanical beasts with crazy, mad chaos space marines.
Yeah, I like it. You're just hiding there, getting ready to rock and roll. This is interesting. So, we're playing with all the secondaries. We're good. And we're going to roll. Winner chooses to go first or second. I rolled a 2.
I got a 4.
Oh, no. Would you like to go first or second?
I would like to go first.
Oh, he's going to start shooting me. Okay, so we move on to Chaos turn 1. Let's see how this goes. End of Chaos turn 1 movement. Knight moved up this way. Knight moved up this way. Lord Discordant advanced this way. Helverin moved up that way. Or War Dog, sorry. These guys stayed behind the piece of terrain, so I can't really shoot them. And then they've kind of like moved up. And in just some shooting right now, incessant bolt of shooting into the Reavers didn't do anything. But now we're moving into shooting phase. We'll be back at the end of the turn. End of Chaos turn 1 shooting. The Gatling Cannon Knight shot everything. By the way, we didn't say this, but he's using War of the Machines special rules, where each of these knights has 2 extra wounds. Oh gosh. And that one has 1 extra wound. Yeah. So they're a lot tougher to kill than normal. Then we have, so he killed 2 of the Grotesques and put 2 wounds on 1. And then the Helverin shot and put 3 damage on there, because it was just good rolls on my part and less than average rolls on their part. And then the Battle Cannon got, 14 shots into here and only did 1 damage. Which means that my Void Raven has a horseshoe stuck up somewhere that the Homunculus can see. And with that, we're moving on to turn 1 for the Drukhari. He is currently on 2 objectives. He does get 2 points for recon because he has 1 unit in 3 different table quarters. Wholly within, because there's 1 unit right up there. And we'll move on to the next turn. End of Drukhari turn movement. End of movement, turn 1 for the Drukhari. I've moved my Grotesques up. I have moved this Venom to contest that objective, even though that guy's Warlord trait is he counts as OBSEC in 10 models. So as soon as he gets on there, I can't do that. So I have to try and get the points as quickly as I can here. The Blaster stayed up here to blast. Both of these Ravagers can see him because he's more than 18 wounds, so that I can see through the windows, even though he can't see me. So that's a cool little interaction there. The Racks and the Slith have moved on. The Racks are being engineers or siphoning power to get a engineer point. And then the Slith is getting me the flag. He's going to put the flag up. The Reaver jet bikes advanced, going over the unit that was under here, using their eviscerating flyby, killed 4 out of 5 Marines with mortal wounds. And now they're essentially going to go try and tie up that War Dog. And then the plane, even though he has a big target on his back, has moved to stay within 6 inches of Archon Skari to get full rerolls, while Drazar, the Homunculus, and the Grotesques move into the middle to try and put some pressure on Mr. Clawface guy. Disco Lord. There you go. Okay, with that, let's move on to the turn. End of Drukhari, turn 1. I did spend a lot of command points this turn to, I vected an interrupt. I also did, I don't know what else I used it on. I think, I healed my Grotesques up. Flyby. I did Onslaught. I did the Flyby. So I only have 5 command points left, so I did spend quite a few. However, this turn, I was able to basically surround that little War Dog. Now, there is a stratagem. If he wants to fall back, he can. I can either vect it or that guy might die, basically, because that's kind of how that works. And then the Lord Discordant from Drazar took 6 damage, and then from the Grotesques took 3 damage in combat, because I didn't re-roll wound rolls on the Grotesques. Other than that, I will take my 3 points for recon, or to have a unit every table quarter. And I've got intel and engineers over there, basically. And then we start on turn 2 for the Chaos. However, they do not control any of the objectives at the moment. However, very easily can get it at the end of the game as we move on. Let's continue. Oh, and I completely forgot. This guy here took 14 damage from Void Raven Bomber, both Ravagers, and then he actually put, 3 wounds on him or something? What? Anyway, and that one I killed one more Space Marine from that unit with the Venom over here. Okay, now we can go on to turn 2 for the Chaos. End of Chaos movement. So he was just couldn't squeeze through here. He wanted to try get in there to get that, like he's a little fatty. Thank you, Venom. Or it's maybe something that I thought about when I put him there.
Closer, I guess. But...
Yeah, he could. So then we have this guy moved up. He is on his middle bracket now. He moved up to touch that objective. So he's like, this is mine.
Yeah.
The Corsairs and the Warp Smith have moved up to engage the Reaver Jet Bikes, and then the Corsairs over here have gone down to try and hide. However, I totally forgot the vehicles can now shoot in close combat, which is a thing in 9th edition, which means this Helverin is not going to shoot my jet bikes. Okay, and then he can also shoot Drazar or the Grotesques as well. So that's going to make for an interesting shooting phase because he's still useful. Even, I didn't kill him, but he's definitely still useful. I totally forgot that was a thing. Okay, well, 9th edition. Yay!
Yeah, 9.
Yeah. Other than that, we'll move on to the turn and let's see how Chaos reacts to what happened. End of Chaos turn 2, and the battle is joined. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. This knight moved up. He Gatling cannoned my homunculus to death because he definitely didn't want him buffing the Grotesques and just killing him dead. He also charged in and ended up only putting 3 wounds on the Venom, which was crazy. Then this knight over here moved in, charged into the Grotesques, and did 2 damage and killed one. So he killed one and did 2 damage to another. And then Drazar in combat killed the Disco Lord, as well as Drazar, the Grotesque put 2 wounds on this knight. So he's up to 24 because he had 2 wounds extra. Then over here we had a whole bunch of stuff. The shooting Helverin killed 2 of the jet bikes, and then everything charged in and only killed 1 more jet bike, which means, and put a wound on 1, which means I lost 3. The Alluship 8, I have to take a morale test to their 8. So they're going to fail morale, which is great because we get to see how that works. So he runs. Because no matter by how much you fail your morale, 1 model runs. And then I have to roll an attrition test. So I have to roll 1 dice for each other model in the unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 models. They are not under 50% strength, which means that on 1s, additional models die as attrition kicks in. So no attrition for them. Now, if it was under 50% strength, I would have had 1 extra bike die. But that's how morale has changed now. So with that, there's 1 little guy back here. So Shane gets 2 more points for recon. And at the start of my command phase, I will be getting 1 flag, 1 engineer point, and I hold 2. And I don't hold more because now he has OBSEC there and OBSEC here. So I just get 10 points for the primary for holding 2 objectives. And with that, we move into turn number 2 for the Drukhari. Okay, so here we have it at the end of movement, turn 2. Can you believe it's turn 2? It's crazy. The small table really gets you fighting fast. So I've spent 2 command points to let these jet bikes fall back and then act as normal, simply because fly just no longer gives you the fall back and shoot mechanic anymore. So yeah, I've got all 3 heat lances in 9 inches of this guy here. So I'm going to try and peck some wounds off of him or to shoot into the Helverin. The bomber did fly over the Helverin to put a bomb on him. However, I rolled 3 dice and only 1 mortal wound. He only had 3 wounds left. So close. Then the Ravagers and Archon Skari have moved up. I can't really hide behind there anymore because he can just move this way and has really good. So I better just keep some distance from the knights. And the Witches have moved out and they're going to plant the flag. And then he's going to give me an engineer point, essentially, while they move forward. Because once you plant the flag, it stays there until somebody takes the objective away from you. So with that, we're moving on to my turn. Oh, and this Venom ran away. He survived, so he's just where he deployed. Gonna hide and try and keep alive to come back later and just be a pain in the neck.
Many nights.
End of Drukhari turn 2. So I shot this, and I only did 4 more damage. Oh no, it was at 12, so I did 6 damage.
6 damage.
2 from each of those, and then I did 2 from somewhere else. I don't remember where from. I think oh no, the Void Raven Bomber did 2. So he's down to 6. Then over here, Drazar ended up charging in because he was tagged in combat. Drazar could have done 10 damage to this knight, but Shane passed one of the saves, so the knight only took 6 damage from Drazar, not 10. And then he interrupted and just was like, nope, Drazar doesn't get a second attack, which is good because the Grotesques took 8 wounds off the knight with reroll wounds. So I have no CP, and they rolled really well, and the saves weren't stellar. So he's down to 10 wounds now. The jet bikes did charge in and only killed 2 of the Chaos Space Marines in that unit, and then I was able to tag the Helverin. Like, it doesn't stop the Helverin from shooting. However, it forces the Helverin to shoot at the jet bikes instead of at the Ravagers or whatever. And that's that. So with that, just to recap, they're planting the flag. He's engineering, and then I do have a unit in every table quarter for another 3 for recon. So now we're moving on to turn 3 for the knights, and he does hold this one, and he does hold that one, but he doesn't hold more. So that's 10 primary points right there as the game continues.
If I was on that, guess what? Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, end of movement to turn 3. So this knight fell back and has moved up this way to start engaging or start to threaten that objective there. Did he fall back?
He fell back.
Okay, so he just moved back a little bit so he can pick his targets and shoot whatever he wants. And then he's going to charge back in. This does still obscure though, so, but he definitely wants to, kill those Grotesques. And then over here, he didn't really do much except move the Warpsmith over here, who does mortal wounds to vehicles. He can heal and do mortal wounds, which is kind of cool. And, the Helverin is going to shoot into the jet bikes again. Okay. But with that, we're moving on to turn 3 for the Chaos Knights and Chaos. Okay, everybody. As much as we have the ice cream truck going by, because this is Garage Hammer, as we have known, the turn has ended. They shot into, there was some flamers into here and some Gatling cannons into there. I rolled really well for him with Fuel and Pains, so he only took 4 damage from the Gatling cannons, because he's hitting on 5s now. And then he moved out, shot into the Grotesque, killed 1, charged in, killed 1, because Grotesque Fuel and Pains, a bonkers. And then he put 1 wound and killed 1 in shooting of the jet bikes. Which means that I will be going into my 3rd turn. Of course, again, I do not hold more. I do hold 2, so I get 10 more for the primary. And I get an engineer point and a flag and another flag, because they put the flag up last turn. Okay, with that, we're moving on to Drukhari. Turn 3. E. And here we are at the end of Drukhari turn 3. So luckily, and I forgot him. Wah. He's just sitting there. He's so scared he forgot to shoot his blaster. What? He probably missed and would have not done anything anyway. This was the turn for him to kill a knight. I'm going to roll it on camera just to see what would have happened, but I'm not taking that back. So does he hit? Yes. Does he wound? Oh, damn it. And how much damage would he done? 2. Okay, good. I feel that. I feel better about that. Okay, so that knight did take 2 damage from a Ravager. The other Ravager just completely nuked that Elver and did 5 wounds out of 9 shots with his 5-ups. He's gathering intel. The witches are gathering intel for the next turn. And then the Archon did charge into the guy that was back here. Remember him? Yep. And I killed him. And then I shot into these guys, but didn't kill any because their armor saves are on point. So with that, we'll be moving on to the second to last turn. And he does get 2. So that's another 10 for primary right there. Keeping up with the primary here. And then this Grotesque survived with 1 wound. Because these Grotesques are just so tough. It's crazy. I'd forgotten how tough they were because I haven't been using them in so long.
They're amazing.
I've been using Talos more than Grotesques, and I'm like, I miss just having the flesh machines. Okay, and then that Venom ran away and hid. And my Void Raven did go off the board, but I'm going to try and remember to bring him on the table next time instead of completely forgetting about him. So with that, we move into turn 4 for Chaos. End of Chaos Knight's turn number 4. So, moved up, and then shot into the Ravagers a lot. Put 1 wound on with some stubbers here. Didn't kill the witches, which is sad, but did put 2 more wounds on this Ravager with the Gatling Knight, so it's got 4 left. And then this guy went absolutely ballistic, went 20 shots and like 13 wounds or something into the other Ravager, and he just died. It was close. He almost survived. Ravager almost lived, but he didn't, and he didn't explode, thank goodness. And then he charged in just to finish off the Grotesque. Yep. Finally get good riddance, he says. It just took me way too long to kill him. 4 turns. Then the Forge guy put a mortal wound on the Venom, and they shot in and just didn't really do anything to the Venom or the or that. I will get 2 more flag points, and I will get 3 intel points because I have 2 points that I got intel from. So with that, we move into Drukhari, turn number 4. Okay, end of turn 4. Turn 4. Turn 4, it's not turn 5 yet. They advanced, they actually moved up quite a bit, which is good. The Venom and the Slith stayed there, so did the Witches. So I had intel and intel points. The Ravager and the Archon and the Venom moved this way to engage that blob, while the Jet Bikes moved up this way. And he came down over here, because that's how flyers, they can deep strike anywhere within 9. I fired into that unit till it was dead, with the Ravager finished it off. And then the Heat Lances and him did 7 wounds in shooting against the 8 wounded Knight. And then I charged in with the Grav Talons. The Grav Talons did the last wound. Neither of them exploded. So with that, moving on to the last turn, turn 5. And we have the glorious Whoopsmith versus Archon Skari and one of his fun Corsair Corn Berserker Sergeant guys. With that, let's move on. We'll be back at the recap of the entirety of turn 5, because we'll just quickly wrap it up here. And then we'll come back with initial impressions and what Shane thought of like the mission format and things like that, etc., etc. So mid-shooting phase, Archon Skari's taken a few wounds. He still has Shadow Field up because you can use your armor save or your invulnerable save. But now the Meltagun is hit and wounded. I have 1 Shadow Field save to make. The only one he's had to make all game. Will Archon Skari survive the Meltagun? Oh, God! You can't re-roll that one. Oh, yeah. It's a non-re-rollable save. How many damage does this Meltagun do to me? 5 damage. Oh, gosh. Well, technically, it's more than 5 because he's within half range. Yeah. And nope. He's... dang it. As soon as it wounded, I was like, we have to film this because I have a feeling. What just happened? Yeah, the feeling. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Internet. That was, that's what happens when your Archon fails a save. Yeah. So that is the end of turn 5, the end of the Chaos turn. Archon Skari died, as you saw. And then the Warpsmith did charge in and do 2 more wounds to the Venom. Venom I spent 1 CP to Overwatch. Yeah, put 1 wound on the Warpsmith with Overwatch, and then put a wound on him in Close Combat. So with that, moving to the end of the game, I do have 1, 2, 3 objectives, so I will be getting 15 points for that, because I hold more now. And then I will get 3 more intel points, but those will be the last ones that I get, as well as 2 more flags. And then it's the end of the game. I'll get 2 flags as well at the end of the game. So with that, we're moving on to turn 5 for the Drukhari, and then we'll come back. And that is the end of the game. Turn 5, Drukhari just moved up and shot both of the units off the board. Okay, fair enough. So at the end of the game, I do get 2 flag points because that's how that secondary works. And I get my last recon point. So 3 points for all of them. So I do get 15 points for the recon, which if you, again, recon for Eldar, amazing. It's just, you're just going to be everywhere all the time. You just need little units to kind of send into the middle of the board and go to the quarters. So yeah, so as you can see, the primary here as it turned out, and then the secondaries. Of course, we don't know what other secondaries there are right now. So Shane would pick secondaries that his army can do well based on whatever secondaries are, instead of like planting flag and stuff that he has to kind of do with infantry, which his army was predominantly knights. Yeah. So Shane, thanks for the game.
Thank you.
What did you like about what do you like about it? You haven't played in a little bit. What do you think of what we know from 9th edition?
What we know so far, I do enjoy it. The change to the missions are pretty good. I'm excited to see what other ones they kind of have. I think there's going to be strengths and weaknesses to all armies once the missions kind of roll out. And it'll just kind of depend on what kind of army build you want, and then you just have to mitigate the weaknesses, right?
Yeah. The thing that really came into the forefront this game was the obscuring rule, which we had 4 obscuring pieces of terrain on the board, and it actually made it easy to hide units, even against like the big knights. So it was nice to have something that you could physically hide behind, especially my Ravagers. They're very, very excited about that because it means that these little windows don't block line of sight, which is great. And it showed because they were able to sort of skirt the shadow of the obscured rune while shooting at the big knights that were standing over here. But a huge shout out to everybody out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you stay tuned for more content. I know this is not 9th edition, but it is 9th edition as we know it, and it is a way to just roll some dice and just spend a little bit of time watching. Huge shout out to the channel Patreons. Thank you so much for your support, and I will be next time on the channel with me. Shane, thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
And bye. This is Skari, your Grateful Host, signing off until next time. Skari out. Ah, the Dark Kin. In 9th.